Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to talk about roadmaps. We talked about roadmaps a few months ago in social studies. We talked about different kinds of maps, not just road maps, but globes, world maps, all that kind of stuff. Today we're going to talk about road maps. Does anybody know what a road map is? Okay, a few of you. How about a GPS? All right, now everybody's hands up because most of your parents probably have used a GPS before. Now, GPS is just like a road map. It helps you to know where you're going and things that you're going to pass when you get there. I always think it's kind of cool to be using my GPS when I go back home to see my mom and dad because if I'm looking at the GPS, I can also see like, oh, there's water beside me, or there's a McDonald's coming up, or so on. So they tell you where important things are, how to get there, and help you with that. That's what road maps do. Well, we use something similar when we're reading, and I know that you've done this before in your class, before we went on this break that we've had, and that is road map the text. Today we're going to talk about road mapping fiction and nonfiction text, and I know you know how to do it. So this is just a review, just to remind you of how to road map fiction and nonfiction text. But first of all, why? Why should we road map a fiction or a nonfiction or any text for that matter? Why road map a text? Well, we road map it to identify important information and find the important stuff. We roadmap it to find the evidence so that we can prove our answer. Remember, you've got to prove it, prove it. You've got to prove it, prove it. And also to summarize, or so that we can retell what we just read. So today we're going to talk about, as I said, road mapping fiction and nonfiction text. We're going to start with road mapping fiction text. Now, we roadmap fiction tests by using, everybody, C, S, P, S, L. The C stands for the character, or who the story's about, or who's in the story, sorry. The S stands for the setting, where and when the story takes place. The P is the problem. What's happening? What's wrong? The S is the solution. How did the problem get fixed? And the L is the lesson, or why, or what happened. We're going to start with a story which you saw in your first week packet, The Girl and the Apples, and hopefully you've already road mapped that text, but just in case you haven't, I decided to use this text as to show you how to road map. And now I already road mapped it for you. I'm just going to go over that so that you can see what I was thinking and I can explain how I did it. Obviously, I'm using the CSPSL throughout the text. And here we go. So I started with one fall afternoon and I put an S, and that's for the setting because it tells me when. It tells me it was a fall afternoon. So I know actually what season it was and what time of the day. It wasn't in the morning and it wasn't at night. A girl went to a farm. So the girl is the character and the farm is the setting or where the story took place. And why did she go there? She went there to pick apples. She was in a hurry. Now, I underline that she was in a hurry because that kind of tells me a little bit about what's going on. So she picked carelessly. I put the P there as that could possibly be a problem. She picked carelessly both ripe apples and unripe ones, which means some of them are going to be good to eat and some of them are not ready to eat. She might break one of her teeth. Anyways, when she finished, her wagon was filled with a small mountain of apples, which means she picked quite a few apples, but I could see her. She's probably going like this and picking as fast as she could. The girl asked the farmer, again, that's another character. There's another time. She was moving in a hurry, she was careless, and now she's saying to the farmer, quick, tell me how long you think it will take me to get back home. The farmer thought carefully. Now, underlined because this is giving us a little bit of an insight or clue about the farmer. Then he said, be patient. Again, this is telling me a little bit about the farmer. Be patient. If you go slowly, you'll be back soon. If you go fast, you'll not get back until night. It's your choice. The girl thought, how can that be? How can it take so long if I go fast? Which kind of makes sense to me because you would think if you go fast, you're going to get there faster. If you go slow, it's going to take you a lot longer. So the girl wanted to get back home as soon as possible. So she rushed. Again, the problem, her horse and wagon onto the road, which is another setting. She made her horse walk very fast and suddenly, bump, off fell some apples. Now I underlined off fell some apples because this is another problem, isn't it? Every time she hit a bump, more apples rolled off her wagon. So I'm underlining this because it's important to know what's happening as she's going. Then she had to stop and put them back on the wagon. Because of all the delays, it was night before she got home. Aha! So that's why the farmer said to be patient, and he told her to go slowly. She'll get home faster than if she goes fast. It'll take her, she won't get home until night. That's why right there, which is another reason it's underlined, is because that ended up being the lesson. I started to number the paragraphs, but then I realized the paragraphs were numbered for me, and that's one important thing to do if your paragraphs aren't numbered when you start to roadmap a text, so that you know where things are and where to find them. So the characters were the girl and the farmer. The setting was the farm and the road. The problem was that the girl rushes, and the solution was that she should take her time. And then the lesson was take your time, don't rush, be patient. Now I wrote over here some character traits. So the girl is impatient and she rushes, and the farmer was calm and careful. So just by doing this, I can answer any question on this just from road mapping. I'd be able to answer any question about this text pretty quickly because I have it all planned out for me. It would help me find the evidence that I need to answer any question. So let's move on to nonfiction text. How do we road map a nonfiction text? Does anybody remember? You're right, by using MATS, which stands for main idea, author's purpose, text features, text structure, and slant, or how the author feels about the topic. So this one came from week 3 in your packet, the human body. You've got some nerve. Again, hopefully you've already read it and hopefully you road mapped it. If you did, take it out and see how yours compares to mine. So the first thing I did was I numbered my paragraphs. There's 4 paragraphs. This was a short, quick read. I hope that you read it. And I circled that it was a nonfiction text. And I did my MATS. Here is a text feature because it is a picture, although it is a drawing. So the first thing I did was read the first section. How can you tell if something is hot or cold? You touch it. There are things in your fingers that help you to know if something is hot or something is cold. They're called nerves. You have them all over your body. Nerves react to things we touch and send a message to our bodies, to our brains, telling us how something feels. So I summarized over here what this first paragraph was teaching me. And it taught me that nerves tell our bodies when things are hot or cold. I underlined nerves because that was a text feature that was in this text. The second paragraph says, if you touched the edge of a knife, how would that feel? It would hurt. If you didn't have nerves, you would still bleed, but it wouldn't hurt. You wouldn't be able to feel it. So why are nerves a good thing? We would hurt ourselves a lot more without them. I summarized that one saying that nerves give us the pain or tell us when something's painful. The third paragraph I did as well. Imagine that you're making a snack in the kitchen. You lean your hand down on the stove. After a minute or two, you notice some smoke rising in the air. It's your hand. It's burning. If you had no nerves, you wouldn't be able to feel the heat from the stove. Then you would have to go to the hospital because you'd probably have third-degree burns or not much of a hand left. That would be very painful. So over here, I summarized what this was mostly about by telling us that nerves give us heat signals. And then the final, or in the fourth paragraph, was if we had no nerves, the weather wouldn't affect us, or would it? If it were below 40 degrees, you wouldn't feel how cold it was. But if you went outside without protecting your body from the cold, you could get very sick or die. Nerves help us stay safe and healthy. And so that paragraph was mostly about how nerves help us to stay safe and how they keep us healthy. So the main idea is how, for this whole text, if I read all these, is how nerves keep our bodies safe. The author's purpose was to inform us about our nerves that are in our body. There's two text features. There was the bold word here, and then the photograph or picture right here. The text structure was to inform or to teach us, and then the slant, the nerves are important to our safety. So the author, wrote this, or his slant was to show us that how nerves were important to our body and to our safety. So that is how to roadmap both fiction and nonfiction text. Hopefully you did that in your packets. And if you didn't, you now remember, or you have this video to watch to teach you how to roadmap fiction and nonfiction text in your next 2 weeks packets that you're going to be getting. Have a good one. I will talk to you soon.